All right, so let's look at this yes, no, not given answering strategy, and let's take a shot at it and see how to do it. So this is going to explain to you how do you know when something is true, how do you know when something is false, and how do you recognize when something is not given. So what we've done here is we have a yes, no, not given question, and I have pulled from the passage the matching sentence for the question. And we're doing this so like you can see that what you're doing with the yes or not given question is you're comparing two sentences. Now on the exam, this is not what they're doing. On the exam, they're not going to tell you the sentence that the question is coming from. You have to scan and find the sentence and then compare. But here, I'm putting the two things together so you can see the question and also see the sentence that was coming from the passage, and then see that you have to compare those two things together. Okay? All right, so that's why we're doing it this way. All right? Now, if you want to try to do the questions along with me, what you need to do is you need to, when I say so, you need to stop the lecture, and you can try to answer it, and then afterwards you can listen to my answer and my explanation. So that's what we can do if you want to be able to go along with me. Okay. So here is question number one. All right. So question number one says, Michael Faraday was the first person to recognize Perkins' ability as a student of chemistry. All right, so that is the question. And then the matching sentence from the passage. You will find this by scanning the passage. The matching sentence says, Perkins' talent and devotion to the study of the elements was first noticed by his teacher, Tom Watson. All right, so here we have the question. Right, that's our question. Okay, and then right here, this right here is the, sorry about that. This right here is the sentence that is from the passage itself. I pulled it for you. I pulled it from the passage and I put it together. So when we look at this, like I've told you, what we're looking at is we are comparing. We're comparing the question and we're comparing it to the sentence that's coming from the passage. And you have to look at it and say, well, is the subject the same? All right, is the subject the same? Are the nouns the same? Are the verbs the same? And is the limiting language the same? You know, adjectives and adverbs and so forth and so on. So let's look at these two sentences here. All right, so the question says Michael Faraday was the first person to recognize Perkins' ability as a student of chemistry. So sometimes when you look at a question, you can almost tell what they're going to be focusing on. Right? The real focus here is dealing with was he the first person to recognize his ability. So when we look at the question down here at the passage sentence, it says Perkins' talent and devotion to the study of the elements was first noticed by his teacher, Tom Watson. All right, so here we have two different subjects as the person who first noticed. In the question, it says Michael Faraday was the first person. In the passage, it says he was first noticed by his teacher, Tom Watson. So this answer would be, well, here, you want to stop the tape now if you want to answer for yourself. Stop the tape. Okay? So this answer would be false, right? It would be false. Because, like I told you, an answer is false when one of the subject or object or the nouns or verbs are changed or different or opposite. Here they've been changed. The question says Michael Faraday was the first person. The passage sentence says that Tom Watson was the first person. So that's an example of false because it was changed. The names were changed. Question number two. Question says, Michael Faraday suggested that Perkins enroll at the Royal College of Chemistry. Here is the matching passage sentence. You would find this, of course, by scanning the passage and looking for it. All right, so Michael Faraday suggested that Perkins enroll at the Royal College of Chemistry. The sentence from the passage, it says, the young chemist Perkins became very excited after hearing speeches and decided to attend the Royal College of Chemistry. All right, so we have to look, when we're doing a comparison of the two sentences, when you're comparing the question and you're comparing the sentence in the passage, you're looking at the question and saying, is all the information here true? Are the nouns and verbs and adjectives and adverbs true? Is something changed in the question? That will be false. Is something missing? Is something missing from the question? All right, is something missing from the question? That will make it be not given. Now, our question says, Michael Faraday suggested that Perkins enroll at the Royal College of Chemistry. So again, we can look at a question and really tell what they're focusing on. Did Michael Faraday suggest this? Is that what he suggested? Our passage sentence says, the young chemist Perkins became very excited after hearing speeches and decided to attend the Royal College of Chemistry. All right, so stop the tape if you want to try to answer it for yourself. Okay, so the answer here would be not given. Not given. Why is it not given? Because when we look at the sentence from the passage, we don't know if Michael Faraday suggested that he go or not. We don't know if somebody else suggested that we go. We don't know. It's not given. It doesn't tell us anything. Okay? It doesn't tell us anything. It doesn't tell us if somebody suggested that he go or not. We don't know. All right? It's missing. This information is missing. If it were false, it would say somebody else suggested that he go. Okay? That's what it would say if it were false. It would say somebody else suggested that he go. All right? If it were true, it would say Michael Faraday suggested that he go. But we don't know. All right? We don't know. When you don't know, the answer is not given. If it's maybe, the answer is not given. True is always true. False is always false. Number 3. Perkins was still young when he made the discovery that made him rich and famous. The matching passage sentence, not long after he became the youngest assistant, he made the finding that would bring him fame and fortune. All right, stop the tape if you want to try to do it yourself and come up with the answer. Again, Perkins was still young when he made the discovery that made him rich and famous. All right, so was he young when he made the discovery that made him rich and famous? All right, so our sentence says, not long after he became the youngest assistant, so we see that he was young, he made the finding. Finding is synonym for discovery that would bring him fame and fortune. Fame and fortune is synonym for rich and famous. So here we have a situation where the answer is true. The answer is true. Okay? And we're using synonym language here. Finding for discovery, bring him fame and fortune is synonym for making him rich and famous. So this is an example of a choice that is true. You will put true or yes as your answer for this one. Number 4. The trees from which quinine is derived only grows in South America. The trees from which quinine is derived only grows in South America. All right, the matching passage sentence, the drug quinine is taken from the bark of the chancoa tree, which is found in South America. All right, you should stop the tape if you want to answer it yourself. All right, so the trees from which quinine is derived only grows in South America. All right, the drug quinine is taken from the bark of the chancoa tree, which is found in South America. Now, we have to ask ourselves, do we have the tree here? Yes, we have the tree. We have a mention of a tree. All right, Do we have quinine? Yeah, we have that. Do we have South America? Yes. All right. Now, derived is synonym for found. However, we're missing something. We're missing something. In the passage sentence, it doesn't say that it only grows in South America. It says it's found in South America. So the word only is an example of extreme language. When you have extreme language missing from the passage, if it's not there, or if there's no synonym of the extreme language, your answer is not given. We don't know. When we look at the passage sentence, we don't know if it is only found in South America. It says it's found in South America. When you look at the passage, maybe it is only in South America. Maybe it is. We don't know. Right? The passage sentence doesn't say it. It's missing. All right? Again, that's an example of not given. Okay? Are you getting it? Number 5. Perkins was inspired by the famous discoveries of the scientist Louis Pasteur. Because of Louis Pasteur's words, Perkins really decided what he wanted to be in life. All right. Do we have Perkins? Yep, we have that. All right. What you have to focus on here is, was he inspired by the discoveries of Louis Pasteur? All right. Our passage sentence says, because of Louis Pasteur's words, Perkins decided what he wanted to be in life. When it says he decided what he wanted to be in life, that's like saying he was inspired. Our question says he was inspired by the famous discoveries. Our passage says because of his words. So here is an example of false. False. Because it's been changed. We have something that's different. Changed or different means false. The question says inspired by discoveries. Here it says because of Louis Pasteur's words. Words are different than discoveries. All right? So, if one sentence says he was inspired by the discoveries, but the passage says that it was because of the man's words, then here we have an example of false. False, false, false. Are you getting it? False. Question 6. Marie Curie's husband was the joint winner of both of Marie's Nobel Prizes. All right, here we have our matching passage sentence. With her husband, Pierre Curie, and Henry Johnson, she won her first Nobel Prize in 1933, and then Marie was the sole winner of her 1935 Nobel Prize. All right, so our question again says, Marie Curie's husband was the joint winner of both of Marie's Nobel Prizes. So, what they probably are going to be focusing on here when we look at the question is, was he the joint winner of both? Right? Like I said, for most questions, you can really look and see what are they really going to focus on probably in deciding true, false, or not given. Right? You can almost always look at the question and be able to tell what are they going to focus on to determine true, false, not given. Right? So, joint winner of both. Right? When we look at the passage, it says that Pierre Curie and Henry Johnson, with those two, she won her first Nobel Prize, and then she was the sole winner of the 1935 prize. So, number 6 is an example of false. Because number 6, the question says her husband was the joint winner of both. But when we look at the passage sentence, it says her husband won the first one with her, but the second one she won by herself. Second one she won by herself. So he was not the joint winner of both. The information is different. Okay? The information is different. So this is an example of false. For a lot of students, they really struggle with the difference between not given and false. Right? False means the information has been changed. Right? We have a different cause. We have a different source. Okay? When it's not given, it would mean that it's missing. all right, it'll be the information is missing. There's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. All right. So let's stop here, and then we're going to do another video and do some more practice like this. Okay. Talk to you soon.